Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another open mic at KBS. I finally made it. I finally made it out of the city. I just managed to get my internet a couple of hours ago, way better than my old internet. So hopefully that'll lead to some more reliable sound. If Wookie's in the chat, you want to let me know if the sound is okay from your end. Get her. Um, this week has been absolute to get in this show because it's kind of like something that I've been looking forward to actually for more than just this week, but it's kind of like my reward for getting everything sort of set up, sort of still settling into my new place. So we get to talk to a kind of a regular on the KBS crew, and his name is Jason. You may have known as First Paranormal. Um, I would call him sort of a paranormal researcher, but he's not like, just someone who like goes around and looks at videos, you know, it, he's in the field. So he's like actually doing stuff like in the actual field out in the places that these other videos talk about. This guy actually goes to them. And and if you've ever seen any of his videos, some of them are pretty creepy, like in a good way. So Jason, how you doing, man? Good to finally speak to you.
Thanks for having me on, Polly. Hopefully, I'm coming through clear enough.
Loud and clear here. So
Good,
how
good.
how are
Yeah, go
things at
on.
your end?
Yeah, not bad. Good, good. We're due to go out again tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. We've been up to loads since I've been last on Cavs. So, yeah, we should have loads to chat about.
Okay, well, let's start with where you headed. Where are you headed next?
Well, tomorrow we're going to the city defences. That's all I know. My mate, who's an explorer channel, he's got all the maps. So he's told me we're going to the old city defences and in the tunnels. So I think they run along all the way along the Plymouth seafront. It used to be the old battle defences for the Plymouth dockyard. So we're going under the tunnels down there and having a look round at the old cannon place and the fort.
Do you have to get special permission to go to some of these places, or do you just sneak in there? But you
Yeah,
don't have to
yeah.
tell me if you don't want to.
Technically, some of them are abandoned and some aren't so abandoned. So it depends where you go in.
Right. So do
Because
you have
they're
a
the
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say we went to one the other day. My friend, he's got. We was going to go to an old hotel. It's called the used to be the old Naval Fleet Club where the officers stayed and drunk, and it's turned into an old hotel and it's abandoned now. So my mate went in there, and a couple of days later we were due to go in. As we was about to go in, they turned up a load of blokes in white sheets and stuff, and so we managed to get out. But they apparently were pulling out all of the doing building works in there. So luckily we nearly got caught, but we managed to get out. But my mate said they're doing the asbestos, so we should be able to get back in a couple of weeks.
Wow. So it's kind of like you kind of have to like I guess plan around like when people are going to be there
Yeah,
because
most of them are abandoned. We weren't expecting anyone to be there, and then obviously some places aren't so abandoned.
well, have you ever run into anything like anything kind of weird or like run into anybody doing anything
Yeah,
they shouldn't be doing
we
there?
I took my friend up last week, sorry, last month to the churchyard up at Buckfastleigh. Do you know the Hellhounds Church I went to?
Yeah.
I took my friend up there so we could do some filming. And as we were going around, we went into the church and there was a group of spiritists there doing a session. So they were all sat on chairs inside the empty church doing a seance. So we got to speak to them and got some contact. So yeah, that was a bit weird.
Did you get to film any of that or did
No, no, they didn't want to be filmed doing that because I think spiritualism comes from like a Christian side, doesn't it? So that they were doing like sitting there and doing a seance, but they didn't really want anything to do with what we were doing, so we left them alone.
right. Right. And you've actually done seances, I guess, so to speak. I mean, is that the same as the Ouija board? Is that kind of like a seance, but it's just kind of like like a
Yeah,
tool
yeah.
to sit on?
There's a few things we do over here. We do quite a lot of we call table tipping and glass spinning. So table toppings when you have four people on a table, they join hands and you try and lift the table. I don't know if you've seen any of the footage from when I went to the prison Shepton Mallet. They managed to get a table tip over on that one, so I managed to catch that. So generally we use that and a glass spin and a bit of a Ouija board. But I know spiritualists do the old seance type where they hold hands and try and contact people.
Have you ever been to one of those?
And no, but I don't know if you've seen my transgression video on my YouTube channel. And when I went to the Ancient Rams Inn, I uh, I had a chat with the medium because I kept feeling things, and she told me, like the other one down in Bodmin, that she thinks that I may be able to see little bits and pieces. And I had this feeling about a chair next to this fireplace. And the same thing happened to me. It happened at Bodmin. When I looked at a woman in the chair, her face changed and it looked like a man and it freaked me out. And I told the medium, and she said, "Would you like to sit in the chair?" So I did. And then she said, "Would you like to be transgressed?" And you know me, Polly, I just jumped in without even thinking what it was. And yeah, that's so she transgressed me. So I don't know if you want me to speak about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I would love it.
So yeah, the only thing I can describe it is I've looked back at my own video and it's about 26 minutes long. But when it happened to me, it seemed like minutes, literally minutes. So it felt like I lost time. So I thought it was a couple of minutes, but my partner filmed it and it lasted 26 minutes. And I can remember bits and pieces. When she started transgressing me, I could see a figure stood next to me in green, in like Georgian type clothes, but all I could see was his clothes and the wig, but I couldn't see anything else, definition, no face, nothing else in the room, just him, like half of him stood next to a fire. And then she transgressed me some more, and it felt like that I was going through this man's story and I could feel his feelings. It almost felt like that he was contemplating his whole life in front of the fireplace. And then I remember the bits where it felt like I was in a courtroom and it felt like I was a lawyer trying to represent someone, and I could see little bits and pieces, but not the whole story. It was just sort of like I could see bits and pieces of a jigsaw, but not all of it. And then we went back, and then I was in a room with a pair of cat's eyes. And then I felt like I was the person looking at the cat's eyes in this room. And and it felt like hundreds of eyes were watching us. I explained it in the video as me seeing cat's eyes, but thinking back now, it was more like I saw the cat's eyes, but then the eyes were like watching us from outside the room, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, I hear some footprints out there. Sorry, some footsteps outside the door. They're really, really loud, and I almost come out of my trance sort of thing. But then she transgressed me some more, and then I can remember little bits and pieces. So it felt like I was seeing tiny bits of a story on a screen. Some of it was blurred, and I was just seeing a little piece of here and there. So she was speaking to me, and she says she thinks that the more you do this, and if you're open to it, you can pick up a lot more.
So like practice.
Yeah. So, because she said something to me, I was chatting to her at the beginning of the event, and I was telling her, she said, "Well, I can see someone stood behind you now," and I was like, "Okay, then." And she explained it was, and I felt like I knew who she was talking about. And then she said that he had a dog with him, and then it clicked who it was. But she also said, "I've got a spirit guide with me," which leads on to something later in the night. But yeah, yeah. So that was really weird doing that transgression. I almost felt like I lost time. So yeah, it was really, really weird.
So what do you think happened there? Do you think that you were witnessing like something that happened in the past, like from somebody else's perspective, or do you think
Yeah, that's
you
what
were
it
like in a
felt like.
past life?
Well, the first part when I saw him stood next to me, it looked like I was looking at what he was doing. But the bit after that, when she took me in further, it felt like I was in a courtroom as the person looking at a defendant. It felt like he felt because it felt like he was regretted about a case that happened. It feels like that someone got sentenced to death that shouldn't have, like he was innocent, and that's what it felt like he was contemplating and sad over. So that was the feeling I got, and it was just little bits I could see. And the medium claimed to be able to see what I could see. So she was saying technically I was picking up on what she was picking up on, but she was relaying it to me, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so it's sort of the concept like if you have more mediums all around at once, wouldn't just to all the mediums because they could sort of feed off each other.
Yeah, yeah. The first medium I met, I had real strong feelings with, and she said that I'm quite susceptible to picking up things, and I should go with my feelings. So I particularly like it when I'm around mediums because a lot of things start to happen. I believe.
Yeah. What do you think that it is that gives somebody the ability to be a medium that because it's not necessarily like a common trait, right? Like they're kind of rare. At least maybe they're well hidden, but in the mainstream sort of aspect of things, they're kind of, they're rare. They're sought out for. There's not that many of them.
Yeah. I don't know. I reckon there's lots of different types, just from my own opinion. There's some that are born with a gift. I know that some can learn it almost, where you become more and more open. But I think most of it is a gift, isn't it? They've got their third eye already open. That's my theory. I don't know what you think on it.
Well, I think maybe most people have the potential to learn it, but as we get older, there's all these filters that keep getting put in front of our faces or third eye, call it, and so we just are kind of a lot of people are maybe not groomed to pay attention to those sort of things. So, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of people walking out that probably do have the potential to be a medium, but they just ignore it because of social programming, and that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I agree. I reckon, like when you're a child and you lose your innocence almost, and then you lose that gift to be able to have an amazing imagination and see things.
Yeah, I've almost seen it happen to my own self. When I was a child, I used to see things way more than I do now. In fact, I don't see very many at all now. But as a child, things were easily seen, and I think that yeah, go through school and social programming and media and everything else, and fear gets thrown at you. You because it is a very subtle thing if you're not looking. Most people probably just they're blind to it now. They've got the blinders on, and some of them are even scared of it, which is another thing that I wanted to ask you actually. Have you ever been scared trying to find any of these or contact any of these or beings, spirits?
No, but I was before. But when I found Kev's channel, and obviously he gave me the inspiration to start this channel, I'd been having problems spiritually, and now I spoke to Bill Bean, and he seemed to have sorted it out. And since that day, it's just felt like no matter where I walk into, it just feels like I've got protection with me constantly. So I'm not bothered now. It's almost like I'm doing it from a point of view that eventually I'd like to be able to help a family and do a proper scientific investigation with someone like over months and months. That would be the ideal. But yeah, no, I'm not frightened about any of it at all. But we are really careful, and we only tend to do Ouija boards and stuff when there's mediums there.
Right. Is that like a safety measure?
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I don't like messing about with the Ouija boards unless there's professionals there, because they normally get us to do like a white witch spell where they give us protection. And I also normally pray myself anyway and do stuff like that. So we always give ourselves protections before we do stuff.
So it sounds to me like that there is quite a bit of respect given to the Ouija board.
Oh yeah, yeah, we wouldn't do it. My friend's got one, and he wanted to take one with us while we film, but we won't do it unless we're somewhere where it's a organized event and there's mediums there.
Well, I remember when in the 80s you could buy a Ouija board and it was almost this it was in the same section as the Monopoly board games pretty much. It was just considered a board game. Is there a
Yeah.
difference between a Ouija board and that you would buy at a toy store?
No, because I think they're all quite a lot the same. It's just how you use it, I think, and what kind of energy. And because they're obviously we messed about with them as kids and had the toy ones, and I think that's probably where it comes from. The stuff that started messing about and following me. It's probably from messing about with Ouija boards in our teenage years and doing stupid things like that.
Really? Yeah, that was actually gonna.
Yeah.
I was gonna go down that road. I was gonna ask. I think that maybe like they shouldn't be selling them as sort of like under the guise of almost a toy to basically anybody who's over 12. I think it was here.
Yeah, I don't think they should be sold to anyone at least 18.
I've only ever messed about with one once, but I can honestly say, looking back, that yeah, there is some probably like negative energies following around then that I've probably managed to get rid of. But I mean, that's that's fascinating how something like that can almost prove itself when you look back in hindsight. I don't think Ouija boards
Yeah.
should be sold as toys either.
No, no, they really shouldn't. I learnt my lesson as a kid not to mess about with them because it backfired pretty bad.
But isn't there a certain way you're supposed to end a session or something, or else you
Yeah,
always leave it open?
you're meant to say goodbye and and do it properly and break the chain on the board and stuff. So that's why we always do it professionals. We don't want to do it ourselves. Plus, you shouldn't mess about with them really, but obviously we use them now and again when there's like mediums there, just because they can give you added protection.
Right. Okay, can we go back into your maybe your history a bit? Like, I want to ask you what got you into because I feel like sometimes I get this sort of almost like a skeptic vibe from some of your videos, and I think I have a hunch that maybe that's what maybe started actually trying to actually contact uh, in person with cameras to get like, proof. Um, so how did you get into the paranormal in the first place? Go back as far as you want.
Well, I'll go back to when I was a child, really. I was always into science fiction and UFO books. I bought loads of UFO books from secondhand stores, and I bought all the videos and on VHS and stuff like that. So I was always into UFOs and always into realized that early that governments lie to you because I've always believed they've covered up the UFO. So I was always into that. But when I was about 17, 18, I got into meditation and I got into Young and oh, what else the other one? I can't remember. Freud, that was it. Young and Freud. So I read quite a lot of them and how you can meditate, go into your cave and find your spirit animal. So I was doing a lot of that at the time. And that's the time where I saw the shadow person that I saw in my bedroom. Um, so I was doing a lot of meditation. And one night, I'm in my bed and I saw a shadow in the room that I'm staying in at the moment, funny enough. Um, it was in the corner of the room and I froze and I can't describe it. It was just, I was absolutely frozen with fear. And I watched it come in across the room, come up the side of the bed of me, right up next to me and lean over at me. And that's when I freaked out. So from that day, then I really left it after then and ignored it. Just went on about life. I was in my 20s then, doing whatever you do in the 20s and 30s. But then I came back to live where I was before, and things started getting worse and just bad stuff. So basically, I found Kev's channel. I started the YouTube channel, didn't I? And I spoke to Bill Bean. So basically, that's what started it. But I've always been really open to um, other things. So yeah, I've always been really open.
Cool. Yeah, I've always been really open to the sort of unexplained foes. I've always been there. Let me ask you sort of a personal question. What's your favorite paranormal movie, kid? You watch the most
Oh, oh, sorry. Can you say that again? It broke up. What's my favorite paranormal?
movie from as a kid?
Oh man, Um, Carl, I love horror movies. So you're asking me to. I loved all the B movie horrors and really rubbish films and stuff like that.
Okay,
One, this is how bad I love them. Sharknado. I think it's probably the worst, best film ever made. So, but my favorite horror would probably The Exorcist good, but I would say The Fog's the one that does me. That was the first film I ever saw as a kid, and it give me nightmares forever. So yeah, The Fog's probably the one that I remember the most because it was the first horror movie I ever watched as a kid on my own that I shouldn't have.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We got to watch all those movies as kids. There was no censorship from our parents.
Nah, nah. Well, we watched all, didn't we? Freddy and
Oh, all of them.
like all of
Poltergeist.
them. Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We got to watch all the horror movies as kids. We just got it off the VHS man. We used to have a man come round in a van with the VHS. There's probably kids listening now that don't even know what VHS is. It's video recorder. So yeah. So yeah, I've always been into horror and stuff like that. Zombie movies are my favorite. So I'd probably say the best ever movie is probably the original Day of the Dead, is it? The first zombie movie by Romero. What's it called again? Night of the Living Dead, is it?
Oh yeah, the one where they chop the zombie in half and she keeps yelling for brains.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's quite a hard movie at the end, isn't it? Because of the political statement right at the end where he survives, but he gets shot, doesn't
I'm
he?
gonna have to go back and watch that. I'm gonna have to go back and
Yeah,
watch that again. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I love that scene where brother's walking through the graveyard and he says, "I'm coming to get you, Barbara." So yeah, I've always been into horror movies and B movies and sci-fi B. The worse the movie, the better it is, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I know people like that too. I can appreciate why people like B movies. Just it's almost a different art, really.
Yeah.
Um, have you ever had experience with poltergeists? Like seen anything move by itself or anything get thrown at you or anything like that?
No, nothing. The closest we've come so far is having a stone maybe thrown at one of the events. We had a stone thrown, but no, never seen it. That's my dream to catch something like that. Like I don't know, like a trolley coming up a hospital abandoned wards here. That's everyone's dream, isn't it?
Yeah, well, one of these one of these days you'll probably catch something, I hope. I mean, I've seen you catch some pretty intriguing things. I can't say definitively what it exactly is that you're catching, but it's pretty compelling to say the least. Anybody who hasn't seen any of Jason's videos should check out his channel. There's some really, really cool stuff there that you can't explain. And I've got a photography background, and I can't explain it either. So uh, definitely go and check that out. Uh, Another thing I wanted to ask you about is because I've seen this in a few of your videos as well. It's called the Spirit Box, I think.
Yes.
So, okay, is that an app on your phone or is that a
Well,
special machine? Explain that
we
for the
we
listeners a bit.
borrowed one. We've borrowed some before, but the one we were using lately is called Necrophone. Is it Necrophonic? We were skeptical about it. It cost a tenner, so we thought we'd give it a chance. I know a few other YouTubers are using it, and they're getting really good stuff from it and answers. So we thought we'd use it, and it's been quite good. But we've actually just got uh, an SP. I can't remember what it's called, an SP7 or something. I've just got a spirit box. It's just come now. So tomorrow when we go out, I've been messing about with it and getting the settings right. So we've got a real spirit box to go out with tomorrow. So I'll be interested to see the difference. But essentially, they do work on the same theory where it scans radio waves at certain frequencies and allegedly voices come through. But I know you've seen some of my stuff and we've had some answers from questions. So it did seem to work. So
Because okay, here maybe I'm being devil's advocate here a little bit, but because I noticed that it sort of sounds like somebody scanning through an old like radio where you had the dial, you had to turn the dial to
yeah,
scan
that's
into
pretty much
a
it.
radio
Yeah.
station. And
Yeah,
so
that's pretty.
what I'm curious to know is how is it not just considered just random someone scanning through a radio and let's say that you just happen to ask a question at the right time that someone scanned past yes on the you know
That
what I mean?
is yeah, that's the $1 million question itself. That's the whole point. The theory is that the spirit can use the signal to answer you, and skeptics say that you're just picking up radio stations. But I've been on the settings for my looking at on YouTubers on how to set mine up, And if you set it at a certain speed, it should go through so quick that you shouldn't pick a word up from the radio. It should just be random.
Aha.
But but the point is, yeah, if you get an answer to a question, is it just pure luck or is it an answer? But the one we've got was the one that was used on Ghost Adventurers. So hopefully we should get some good stuff from it.
Yeah, and isn't there a way that you can design your questions so that it's kind of less likely that it would be a coincidental response?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
why on my yeah, lately I've been trying to ask some like really random questions and questions that shouldn't come over a radio. Yeah, so you got to be careful on the questions you ask, and because it gets boring just asking all the same things all the time. So you got to try and think out of the box.
out of the spirit box, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And just to go back to an earlier question I didn't answer, you're saying I come in from like a skeptical sort of a side. Um, I'm not skeptical. I'm pretty open, but on my videos, I try to be as skeptical as possible. If something happens, I try and think of every other thing it could be before, like try and figure out everything it could be, and then only leaves one possibility, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe I should use the word analytical instead of skeptical.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
you do definitely look at all the possible angles. One video comes to mind where you were filming it was an orb or something in a graveyard, and it was you were testing, like putting your hand in front of the camera and then like moving different angles of the light to see if it was the lens flare. Yeah, you definitely got an analytical set, which is, I guess, where I got that sort of skeptical.
Yeah, yeah, that was quite a weird thing. I'm still not sure. I just think there was a light trick somewhere that day, but it was very, very weird because I couldn't figure out what it was. And no matter what I did, when I took my hand away, it was there. When I put it back, it was gone. And no matter what angle I went to or where I went or tried to, that's why I didn't freak out. But that was probably, although it wasn't much evidence, I think it was probably a trick of the light. It was the fact that I could not figure out what it was is what blew my mind. No matter what I did or where I went or what I tried to think of, I could not figure out how this light was appearing and why it was following me.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's strange.
yeah, that was a strange video. I wanted to get back to the spirit box. Have you ever had like a more than a sort of a one two word answer for anything? Like, has there ever been like a full on conversation?
No, not yet. It doesn't seem to work like that at the moment. It's more words. I know that when Kev had those Welsh lads on, they had like a conversation almost with the 12. Do you remember the 12 they got over the spirit box? And they seemed to have a full on conversation almost, didn't they?
I don't remember if I saw that.
Yeah, yeah. Kev had some boys on from Wales, and they've been doing really good work. They got some brilliant audios, but they spoke to um, what they claimed to be aliens. What told them over the but they had a full on conversation. But yeah, it'd be interesting to set this real goat spirit box up to see what the difference is. So we're going to take everything with us, and I've also just got a night vision camcorder. So I'm hoping that I
Oh, that'll
put my
be
channel up, and
great.
yeah, I thought that would put it up another notch. So yeah, I try to be different from the other YouTubers. I follow most of the paranormal good ones and a few of my friends, but they all seem to do the same. What I really don't like is when you put the word on the screen from the spirit box. Now, all I do is make a video and put it online and let people decide what they hear and what they see. I try not to guide people on what they're seeing or hearing. But yeah, I don't really like because people have said to me, "Why don't you put the words on the screen?" But I don't like doing it.
I I understand that completely because you could put any word on. People are going to be likely to hear that then because the word is going to influence your hearing.
Yeah, I reckon so as well. But we've had some real clear answers. I think one of the best ones we had was when we was at the fort with all the satanic signs and all the symbols everywhere. And I was stood in front of that pentagram and I asked what it was written on the wall and it comes Satan across it. So that was quite a good one. That was a real
Yeah,
clear voice. So yeah, that was quite creepy.
yeah, that was. I actually saw that one. I haven't watched all of your videos, but I did. I have seen a few, and that. kind of like kind of creepy. I probably would have left after that. But
Yeah,
you
it's
don't seem scared at all because I get yeah, full armor. I've got, I guess, right?
yeah, that's what I pretty much feel like at the minute. Bill Bean warrior mode.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So my view is now, if something's coming running up the hallway at you, I'm meant to be running towards it. So we're seeing practice. I've said this, but it doesn't mean that one day if I turn around the corner and there is something at the other end, I'm not going to run screaming like every other paranormal channel.
Well, you've got to get it on film though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's the aim. I just want to, well, I'm just going to keep doing it and see what happens. So I'm hoping one day to catch something like a chair moving or something like that. That
Yeah,
would be the ideal. Some real hard evidence.
I also like the idea of you testing out more than one spirit bot and doing different things with them because I think that's very like, sort of covering all the bases, like scientifically
Yeah,
testing wise.
yeah. See what the difference is. We've also just bought some glow up cat balls. Do you know the ones you move that light? And they use them all around the investigations. And I don't know if you've seen the first Ouija board video from the ancient Rams. There's one point we're on it, and then all of a sudden the light ball goes off next to us, and then there's a massive orb come out of someone's back. But yeah, we've got them to use now because when I was being transgressed, the light went off twice next to me at different points. Oh, that's just reminded me something. When the lights went off next to me when I was sat in the chair, actually felt like when the difference she went from one person to another, it felt like someone was actually walking through me. It was the weirdest sensation. It was from my left hand shoulder diagonally all the way through my body, like someone had walked through me. And that's when the picture changed in my mind. So there, that reminded me of that. Sorry, yeah. So yeah, we've got some of that to take with us, some night vision, a couple of spirit boxes, some light camera work. So yeah, just keep taking stuff with us and trying to think of new stuff to do.
That's awesome. It must be really exciting to be able to go to these places in person. What kind of
Yeah.
research happens before you pick a place to go?
Well, I'm very lucky at the moment because my friend's got an Explorer channel. He's just changed his name, so I can't remember it. It was called Southwestern Naft. It's in my Discord. If you go to mine, you'll be able to find his channel. We've been working with him, and he's the one with hundreds and hundreds of maps from the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries. He's got all the maps from the Second World War of the shelters on the moors. He reckons he knows where there's 48 hid shelters on the moors. He finds all the places and forts we can go into. So I rang him up the other day and said, "Would you like to go out Monday?" So we're going out tomorrow. And I said, "Where are we going?" And he just picked somewhere. He's got the map. And then we end up crawling in these little tunnels and then come out in these massive forts and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. So these places are pretty, I guess I'm guessing they're pretty remote. Like there's not very
Yeah.
not much
Let,
rural or like city or anything near these places.
Well, I live in quite a unique place. I live in Plymouth. As you know, that's where the Mayflower come from. So I live on the south coast. We live right on the Atlantic at the very bottom of the country. So we're quite a unique city. We've got the dockyard, and obviously Plymouth's famous for that's where we had the empire from, coming from Plymouth and Portsmouth docks. Because we're a sea dock, if you only go 6 miles out, that's when you get to Dartmoor and the Dartmoor land. So it's quite a unique place to live. We live near the sea, but we also live in the country, but on moorland as well. So it's quite remote, but it's also not so remote, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Are there any possibly like haunted lighthouses around there then?
Yeah, probably. We've got the main one in Plymouth, which is now on land on the Plymouth Hoe. That was taken away when they put the new one in. So yeah, we have got a load of lighthouses out, but the problem is they're all out a couple of miles to sea, so they'd be pretty hard to get to.
Yeah, you need a boat, obviously, right? Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
even if you had a boat, would you still be allowed to just like drive out
I
to
don't
one?
know. I think they're probably automated, and I don't think you're allowed on any of them. I think it's still government property.
So many castles and stuff in England that like, I mean, what about these bigger castles that uh, can you get inside of those at night, or are they,
Um,
some of them are
most of them
touristy, I get it.
Yeah, most of them now are either grade one, grade two, or grade three listed buildings, which means most of the stately homes and castles are either owned by the Queen, the elite, or their museums now. But we have got ones like the one I went to on Dartmoor, which was almost in ruins. Half the castle exists and half of it doesn't. But yeah, the castles are pretty much protected in our country. But a lot of them are open for events because these events we go to where we do the Ouija boards and stuff like that, they're actually ghost hunt experiences. So like we pay and we go and stay for a night in a hotel and then we go ghost hunting. So they're quite good. They do them in castles and old buildings and stuff. But we also working with this other YouTuber that we're trying to find abandoned buildings. So we do a bit of both.
Yeah, that's how about stone circles or any sort of like stone monuments? Because there's a lot of those out.
Yeah, we've got over 2,000 stone circles on Dartmoor.
So have you ever done any work in any of those? It
No,
seems
that's what I wanted to do. This obviously, um, I started my channel. It was about 6 months in when we got to the horrible illness that came along. Then we all got locked in. The plan was this summer that I was going to do work on Dartmoor and work in the stone circles and things like that. Then
that would
obviously
be
things happened.
epic.
The channel went a bit. Yeah, that's what I would like to do. So yeah, because obviously we went to Wistman's Woods. I don't know if you saw that one. That was quite a good one. We went to the forest that I spoke about on Kev's show.
All right.
Yeah, with the Druid Eye stone. That's if no one's seen that video, Wistman's Woods, you should have a look at it because that's where we caught on a spirit box someone singing, and I say, "Are you singing?" And it says, "Yes," the song. So that was quite good. So yeah, that one's in the woods out on Dartmoor in the tiny forest where all the oak miniature forest is. So that was a pretty good investigation. But yeah, Dartmoor is full of stone circles, cairn circles. When we did that Dartmoor um, investigation. When we're walking up to the woods, you have to walk over the moors, but there's little stones. They're called cairns, and they're three stones. There's a big stone, a medium stone, and a little stone. They all look like little stone snowmen, but they're absolutely everywhere. And no one ever touches them, and we don't know how old they are because no one will touch them because it's bad luck. You obviously don't mess with the past, whatever they were doing back then. So you got little cairns all over the. They get them in Scotland as well, little stone pebbles that have been put there. They could be there hundreds of years, thousands. You don't know.
They've been put there by somebody or they were put there naturally?
Yeah, they were put there by somebody, but when it could have been the day before, it could have been 100 years before, 1,000. Just depends where you are. So people tend to leave them alone because it's just like tradition that you don't mess about with them.
Yeah, it would be interesting to take those spirit boxes to the stone circles and see if you get different signals from different spots inside the
Yeah,
circle.
that's what I'm hoping to try. So now we've got the actual spirit box. I'd like to go back on the moors and use that. But I did speak to. Do you remember Neil Bowie in Kev's chat? He's a druid, and every year he goes to Stonehenge. And I got his number, and I got chatting to him, and he said that he's tried numerous times to take photos in Stonehenge and use equipment, but nothing works in there. They've tried using all electronics, won't work inside. It's almost the power of the circle and the energy, or whether it's being blocked, he doesn't know. But he said he's tried hundreds of times to take photos and they just never come out. They're always blurry.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I said to him, get some evidence. He said, I can't. I've tried lots of times. It just doesn't work.
So is he's using a digital camera, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. I'm assuming if you took an old film one and it'd take a
Yeah.
photo, but yeah, he can't get any digital work stuff to work there because he's a
That's
druid
interesting.
himself. So yeah, yeah.
I
So I
didn't know
found that
that.
quite an interesting as well. Yeah.
So I wonder if that translate to like other stone circles too. Like is you
That's what I'm hoping to find out. Yeah.
yeah.
So that was my
Oh, I
plan. I
can't wait
wanted
for
to
you to
mess
do
about.
that.
Yeah, because we've also got, you've seen the type of formations we got on the moors with the old Sphinx of Dartmoor and stuff like that, and the different tours we've got, and like
Yeah.
the giant stone chair up on there, Kraken tour and stuff like that, where the giant god of the stone, god of the moor was meant to live. So yeah, places like that would be interesting to use because obviously there's been druids and witchcraft on Dartmoor for thousands of years. So
Yeah, do you think where did the Druids come from again? Like they weren't.
Cornwall, but because we're on the border, even though we're in Devon, a lot of people just call us Cornish because we're virtually next door. It's only the water that stops us being Cornish, really. But yeah, Cornwall's the Druids from down all this way, and then going all the way up to uh, Salisbury and places like that. So I live down in the southwest of the UK. So you're looking at, I don't want to trigger the Welsh, but you're looking at like Merlin country and King Arthur and the Celts. The Cornish were one of the seven tribes of the Celts. So yeah,
Hey, do you know? I ask a lot of people this question. When do you say Celt and when do you say Celt or Celtic?
um,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, depends. It gets a bit tricky with the English and the Scots and the Welsh. They would say Celtic. Some would say Celtic. We say Celtic. Depends on where you come from and what uh, part of the country.
Okay, but it doesn't have a difference in meaning. Just
No,
yeah,
no,
I
no.
find it
You've got the
interesting.
seven. I looked into it. The 7 or 8 tribes of the Celts, the Scottish, obviously, the Irish, the Scottish, the Welsh, and there was a couple of others like on islands. I can't remember all of them, but there was the 7 tribes of the Celts, and the Cornish were one of them. So when the Romans invaded Britain, they got down as far as Plymouth, and like pretty much like the Scots decided to leave the Cornish alone and just left them there. So
That's
yeah,
good. Yeah. Okay. Um, so I guess obviously with the whole plans for this summer haven't, I guess, realized, but are things getting better there? Like, are you going to be able to go travel a little bit more?
yeah, well, I'm really lucky where I live. We've had hardly any cases down here, and because we live near the countryside, it's really open. Even though we're a city, we have a lot of space, and we all live out on the suburbs in the country, and we got the seaside, and it hasn't been too bad down here. Obviously, when it first happened, everyone was in the same boat. They were really scared staying in. But I've seen a lot of people now in all the shops and stuff like that. They're not really bothering with the rules. So,
Yeah, well, that's happening here too, but it's really slow.
yeah.
Do you have any plans to go outside of the country for an
Well,
investigation, perhaps?
my dream is this is one of my holidays I want to do. I want to go across the bottom of America, go to Graceland, go to Dolly World. Yeah, I love country. I want to go to Nashville, go along the bottom into Texas. Do you know what I mean? Down there, because I've been lucky enough to go quite to a few places in America. I've been to Washington, New York, LA, Vegas, Orlando. Where else have I been? Canada and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I've been quite lucky. So, but I'd love to go down south and go across there. But also, while I'm there, I wouldn't mind visiting a couple of you lot to do some investigations. If that would be ideal, if I could do that,
Yeah, that would be awesome. Great,
because it
great set of
seems,
bids.
although we got all the castles and the history, you seem to have all the really creepy abandoned asylums and all the places I want to get into.
Well, I'm up in Canada. I don't know how many haunted places I mean, there's a few hotels that I can think of off the top. It's nothing. It's nothing like the history of Europe. It's we don't have souls. I mean, there's tons of graveyards. You'd love the graveyards. Not very many like the old thing. At least not where I live. But yeah, there's a lot of places in the States that. What are your thoughts on the whole? Hang on one second. Sorry.
Yep. All right, you're back now. Yeah, I can hear. You. Broke up a bit.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think my internet was maybe thinking about cutting out there, but I don't know. My apologies. What was I saying? Oh,
I
I wanted you to tell people how they can find you, possibly send you a suggestion as to where to go, something that might be interested to you that they might want or interview some. How can people find you?
You broke up a little bit, but I've got the gist of it. You can find me on my channel, obviously, First Paranormal. I'm the main channel that comes up. That's 1ST Paranormal. I'm also on Twitter as First Paranormal. Um, yeah, and I think you said, would I like suggestions to places to go? That would be cool. And also, what was the second bit? Because it broke up a little bit.
Oh, just yeah, that was the second bit. The suggestions of
Oh,
places
that's
to
right
go, like
then.
how it,
Yeah, yeah, that would be cool. If anyone knows of any places we can get to, or any abandoned places, that would be awesome. Or
or
even
even
one day, if someone, I wouldn't mind going somewhere and taking one of my subscribers with us if they knew anywhere. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
yeah, or even if someone says like, they think their basement is haunted or something, like
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be some kind of like abandoned building. Maybe it's somebody
yeah,
who lives in a place that's kind of got a poltergeist. Because if you catch something like that, like, something flying across the room or like moving across the floor by itself, I mean, that's going to be pretty irrefutable proof, at least to me.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. That would be the dream. Like I said earlier, I'd really like to be able to help a family and do a proper investigation. So, but it's pretty hard to find at the minute because I'm only small channel, and also I've asked a few people if they know anyone with haunted houses, but obviously with it happening to people, they tend not to want to speak about it. So it's quite odd. Without putting an advert somewhere, I suppose I could do that. I could put an advert. Are you having a problem at home or anything like that? But I don't want to sound too ghostbusty.
yeah, I get it. Um, but that's why I think your channels, you maybe should start, maybe sort of implementing that somehow into your channel so that people, because you seem like you're very easy to talk to, at least for me. You, you're you're well spoken. You're not intimidating at all. I mean, if I was at all hesitant to talk to anybody about something paranormal that happened to me because of like some sort of embarrassment issue that would happen afterward or ostracization or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think your vibe would totally like, quell those fears. It would, your vibe is not like that at all. It's very open and soft and not intimidating. And I think the questions you ask they're not intrusive. So you would be good at
Oh,
that.
yeah. That's what I'd really like to do if I could help someone, and I really would genuinely like to help someone if I could. To try and figure out what it was, or if we can actually help them.
Yeah, that would be good. I think that's what we all should be doing in some way. Yeah, everybody can help somebody in some way, and yeah, just need to find out what way that is, and whatever you're interested in is usually the right way to go.
Yeah, exactly. But I do believe what Kev says a lot, and a lot of people in the chat say about a lot more stuff starting to seem to happen in the last few years. If you get what I mean, like the veil's been opened.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that for a second. I there's a lot of things happening, sort of at increased speed in the paranormal world as well. What have you noticed? Like, how have you seen it increase? Like, just from your perspective.
Um, it's just the sheer amount of what is it? I, um, I come from a side where I always used to watch a lot of conspiracy theories on religion, and I love listening to people like Steve Quayle and ones like that. It's right up my street. But it's just the fact that, without getting too conspiracy, just things like even in Hollywood and movies, just the little things in the background where do you really need a 666 in the background, or do you really need to have a picture of Baphomet there? Do you know what I mean? What's that all about? Just little things like that. And then obviously stories you hear, and things seem to be getting crazier and crazier, and the stories we hear are just getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah, and more frequent. And
Yeah,
some of them are even spilling over into like really mainstream, like the front lines of mainstream,
yeah, exactly.
right
Especially
on
with all the
TV.
UFO stuff at the minute. Yeah, yeah. They're really pushing the UFO stuff at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
here's the thing that disturbs me a little bit is that they basically put it on, you know, television that the Pentagon has stuff that's not from Earth, and no one seemed to bat an eye.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
10 years ago they were like, well, we can't tell everybody because the whole world will just go into absolute chaos because people will lose their shit, right? And now
Yeah.
they say it, and no one even bats an eye. In fact, people probably still don't even believe it.
Exactly. I think that's why they did it, Polly, because there's so much crazy going on. Shoving aliens in our face isn't even going to register at the moment, is it?
Do you think the aliens are real?
Yeah, but I don't think 99.9% of the videos or the evidence are UFOs. I believe they're black projects.
Yeah,
I
like
believe there's
military.
aliens, but I don't think they're stupid enough to get caught. I think if they
Yeah,
come hundreds and hundreds of millions of light years and then get taken by a picture by Joe Blogs on the moors, it don't really seem very realistic to me.
yeah, it doesn't really make that much sense, I guess. But
But as aliens, yeah, definitely, there's definitely life out there. But whether they're visiting us, I'd like to think so. But the more I've looked into it over the years, the more I think it's black projects.
yeah, I think some of them are black projects. But I mean, okay, where do they get the black project idea from? They don't.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. See, the biggest one I think is obviously Roswell, but I'm still 50-50 on that. Although I believe most of them are fake. Something did happen that day. What it was, I don't know. Same as our one over here with the oh, what's it called? I can't remember the place. The Rendlesham Forest.
Oh
Now
yeah,
I had a big discussion the other day with my friend. He watched a lot of videos on that he thinks Rendlesham Forest is fake, and he showed me some videos and bits and pieces on how it was a black project, and uh, and a lot of people now are starting to think that maybe that was a black project that shouldn't have been seen. But I don't know, Polly. I believe Fire in the Sky is a pretty cool story with Travis, isn't it?
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I was going to ask you the one thing about Rendlesham that I found really fascinating, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. Uh, one of the guys who actually, like, there was a, maybe it wasn't Rendlesham, but it was somewhere in the UK for sure. One of the guys actually put his hand on the craft that landed in the
yeah, that
forest.
is Rendlesham, and then he started drawing all the symbols. Is that the one?
Yeah, and he wrote down binary
Yeah,
code or what, and then they translated it into something that was supposedly a message from the aliens. What do you think about that?
yeah, that's pretty wild. I've seen that. I've watched quite a lot on the Rendlesham, obviously because it's our Roswell, isn't it? So yeah, I love that bit about it. The fact that, and he still sticks to his story now. I'll give him their due. They haven't changed their story once, and they stick to it. And all that binary and like the symbols he drawn was very weird. So yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
the symbols that,
Yeah.
like, at least that when I saw a documentary on it years ago, and the symbols looked similar to symbols found at Roswell as well.
Yes. Allegedly, yeah. So that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's interesting.
So I'd say them two are probably the two biggest strong cases that there is.
And do you have any like UFO hotspots where you are? Like, is it
Um,
worthwhile going out to try to film anything like that?
I don't know. Obviously, we had that Devon Cross one that I did the story on about back in the day. We have had a few sightings down in Cornwall, but they tend to be up country a little bit more than down here. But then I suppose you could see them anywhere, couldn't you? Just
Well, I
depends
was
where
even
you
gonna.
are.
How about like the what are they USOs, the submersible ones, the ones come out of the
Yeah, you
ocean? Like,
don't see a lot on that very much, do you? I've
no.
always been interested in them because to me that would make a lot more sense than UFOs. Because if you was going to build an alien base, you'd build it under the sea, wouldn't you? And I'm assuming that they can deal with the pressures of the water.
Well, yeah, if they just flew through space, probably, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I've always found USOs more interested than UFOs. Just from the fact that there isn't many stories on them, and when they are, they're normally good ones because they're either like naval captains or someone on the deck, or pretty much people that've been that are pretty reliable, like airline pilots and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've always found USOs fascinating.
Hey, do you think it would be possible for it? Like, are there any like decommissioned Navy ships or anything like that that you might be able to get into? That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. Nah, they're all pretty hot on that down there at the dockyard. Pretty much, you'd probably get your ass shot if you went inside it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're still pretty hot down there. But my mate did say he went the other week with his friend. they went to some of these forts are still used by military forces. So he went to one where they were still used, but obviously they're not there all the time. And that him and his mate had to wait 6 hours in the tunnels till all the Marines had finished their training and that they could get back out from the tunnels and stuff. So
Oh,
yeah,
so they got caught inside they couldn't leave
no,
because
they didn't get caught. They had to hide for 6 hours down in the tunnels while all the Marines were training above them. And then when they left, they could get out again and escape.
imagine that 6 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Think
So
twice about doing that again.
yeah, so I'm really looking forward to working with him. So we're going to be going some cool places because he's got maps literally from the bottom of Land's End in Cornwall, going all the way up the south coast to where was it? Dover, past Dover. So basically, every defense fort that we built from 1800s because the French War. He's got the maps on and how to get in and secret tunnels because you wouldn't breathe these places. You just go around the corner and there's a door there, and he follows his map, and then we go through a little O, and then we open up, and then we're on all these big places. So yeah, it's really interesting.
That's crazy. Where did he find these maps?
He's been doing work for 20 years, and he got friendly with another explorer gentleman who passed away, who's in his 80s, and he had all the maps from the Second World War because he was the warden for all the air raid shelters in the city. So he's got them maps. He's got the maps of the old hidden railway system under the city and things like that. So hopefully, yeah, we'll be going to all these soon.
Underground Railroad?
Yeah, yeah. They just in Plymouth where we had the railway station, they just built over it because it was quicker. So they literally just built over everything and carried on. So there's like little minute under Plymouth. There's quite a lot of underground tunnels and underground the old city because Scotland's got it as well. In Edinburgh, they built over the old city, didn't they? They just carried on. So yeah, quite a lot of Britain's got tunnels under it.
Yeah, there was somebody, an author was on, I saw him on Joe Rogan talking about all these tunnels underneath London that they don't get used anymore, obviously, but there's like tons of abandoned tunnel networks all over the place.
Yeah, stations and everything because most haunted went to the abandoned station, didn't they? There's some stations that trains don't stop at anymore, and they're just abandoned now. So yeah, there are quite a few stations that you can get to. My friend's got all the underground maps as well, so yeah, he's got everything.
That's amazing. It's a good team to have.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool teaming up with them, and obviously the more people can get with you and try and grow the team over the. That's my next aim. So funny enough, it's our 1 year anniversary on the 31st of October. So yeah, I've
Oh,
been going a year nearly. So
nice date too. That's awesome. You started your
yeah,
channel on Halloween?
yeah, pretty much because
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So actually, I started it no, actually, that was the first investigation. We started it about 2 weeks before because I've done an advert, didn't I? But yeah, Halloween was the first one we went on. So we're trying to think of somewhere good to go this Halloween. So
Yeah, that'll be cool. Are you gonna live stream it on Halloween?
no, unfortunately, I need to get to 1,000 subscribers before you can live stream on your mobile.
Oh,
It's a right pain. So that was
right.
why that's all I want to do is get to 110 1,010 subscribers, so I can live stream.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be
Yeah,
really
that's the
cool.
aim one day. So yeah, I'd like to do that. That's the aim for the channel. But I haven't had a bad year. I wanted to get to 500, and I'm at about 430. So with the bit of a lock in, losing a few months, I think I've done pretty much all right getting to my target 500 in the first year. So
Yeah. Yeah, you'll
yeah,
definitely get there as eventually. As soon as hopefully if when they open the world back up, it can start going outside and stuff normally. Worry about people freaking out or the law. That'll be awesome if that ever happens.
yeah. I think hopefully it will. I think enough people are waking up, Polly. I think one day they'll have to. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to my channel now, taking it forward. Obviously, I've got this laptop now. Well, for the last 3 months, I've been playing games, and I've decided to actually learn it. So I'm learning Film more at the minute. I'm really, really enjoying it. So hopefully, when I get the night vision, my video quality should be going up and the graphics and stuff like that. So
Yeah, because you just started school, didn't you?
Yeah. So, well, no, I'll start next week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember you
Yeah.
saying something in the
Yeah.
chat about
Yeah.
that. That's gonna be
So,
awesome. You're gonna have so
yeah.
much fun there.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, and obviously looking forward to doing more stuff for my channel. So yeah, anyone's got any ideas of where we should go and think of anywhere, I'd love to hear it.
And that being said, maybe hopefully we can get this recorded and sent out. I'm gonna put it up on my channel if it ends up working. And
No
yeah,
worries.
put it out and put your link underneath it, and you should post it as well. And we should get you up to 1,000 so you can start doing live streams because I can't wait for that. That's gonna be awesome. So
Yeah, that's
anyone
the
listening,
dream.
anyone out there who hasn't seen any of First Paranormal, aka Jason's videos, please go check out his channel and show some support and sub so he can start doing live streams because those are going to be epic. And also, I would just like to thank Jason personally for coming on. We've been trying to sort this out for a bit and did it. I'd love to have you back on if you're into it and we can talk about it. I also want to thank um, obviously Kev Baker for the Discord and ZX for the backdoor stuff and Wookie as always, my brother. I love you. And yeah, so that's another episode in the bag. Thanks a lot, Jason. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for holding it on Kev's Discord, Kev. Thanks to Wookie and ZX. And check First Paranormal out. That's 1ST First Paranormal. I'm also on Twitter with the same name.
All right, people, and that's us done for the evening. Remember, stay bright and PPP.
Take care, everyone.